wellnesscouch.com, streaming wellness into your lives.
Welcome to Nourishing the Mother, featuring your hosts Bridget Wood and Julie Tenner.
Hello and welcome to Nourishing the Mother. I'm Julie Tenner, and today you have me just to yourself because I am here doing what is feeling very awkward, which is an interview with my gorgeous husband, Nick. Do you want to say hello?
Hello, everyone.
He's feeling weird too. We're both feeling weird. But what we're trying to do here is we had a beautiful listener write in and say she hears me talk so much about my birth experiences that she was really interested in knowing what the male perspective of that was, what intimacy and birth were like for a man, for a husband, witnessing his woman going through what is a transformational experience. And she wondered if he might have any gems to share. Do you, Nick? Do you have gems?
No, probably not. I'm not going to disappoint you.
So here we are.
It's a perspective.
It is a perspective. Here we are. So we have our 3.5-week-old newborn asleep in the room next to us. I've got the Thermomix on cooking, our other 3 kids in bed, and I've done my best to attempt 3-week-old newborn seduction with candles, a drink, and some Lindt chocolate. How's that working for you, Nick?
I'm ready.
Before we jump in, I just want to remind you to jump onto nourishingthemother.com.au and join our tribe. So on that front page, you will see a couple of boxes where you just fill out your name and your email address. And once a week, we send you a wrap-up email of everything that we've posted about, written about, blogged about, podcast about, so you can pick and choose what you'd really love to dive deeper into. And then occasionally we send you a second email that's our ponderings, our thoughts, our epiphanies, our toolkits that we've discovered with our own lives and kids that we'd really love to share with the tribe like you who are on this journey exactly like us. So please jump on to nourishingthemother.com.au and join our tribe. So, Nick.
Julie.
Here we are. I have a list of questions in front of me. I'm not sure how it's going to roll. We're just going to see how it goes.
I'm not sure how I'm going to answer either.
Okay. Question number 1. What is it like for you to witness me in pain in labour?
I think I probably need to preface all my answers though with, I think I'm probably, I'm assuming most of your listeners know that you're a doula, work as a doula, so, I think I'm probably pretty lucky in the fact that, I've heard hundreds of birth stories and debriefings and all those sorts of things over your career as a doula. So I think that I probably have heard a lot more good and bad and different stories from different experiences that you've had. And so I think that obviously has educated me a fair bit on what's normal, what's not normal.
What does that mean for you, the education? As in, what do you feel more educated on? What does normal or not normal mean for you?
I think it's just an understanding. I think the whole... So I guess your original question about how do I feel? Well, to me, my understanding is, and as a male, I can never experience, and I truly don't know what the pain levels are. But apparently, I hear from many women that
yes, you do work with many women too.
Yes, that birth is an extremely painful experience, but very rewarding. And I think that. So I know going to birth, and we've had our 4th, and that I know that you're going to go through a fair bit of pain.
What's that like for you, seeing me? Like, even cast your mind back to our first with Heath, where you had no frame of reference, I suppose. Yeah. What really made that for you? I mean, I think that's probably the first birth is probably the pain levels that I struggled with the most.
Yeah, I mean, I think from going back to our 4th with Gwen's birth, I think that the way I suppose that you work with pain or tolerate pain or are accepting of the pain and I'll use the experience of being in the hospital and straight after Gwen being born and early the next morning, some of the excruciating screams that were coming from some of the other rooms.
Yeah, that actually we should talk about that, because that was a really intense experience for you. I had a feeling that really sat somewhere quite deeply for you. So we were, like as you are in hospital, you're in very close proximity. There's literally a door, sometimes a cupboard between you and the woman, couple, family next door to you. And so after we'd given birth to Gwen and had come back into the labour suite from the bathroom, there was a sequence of 2 or 3 women in the time that we were there that were giving birth, and they were what sounded like completely and utterly terrified and were screaming like they were being drawn and quartered.
Well, it was almost like a war movie.
It was really intense. And we all, my doula Bree, myself, you, we all sat there and went, I feel so sorry for that woman. Like, I just want to go and cuddle her or something. And I felt like you had never heard those sounds before, and that was quite shocking for you in a way.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and that's why I probably go, well, it's not so bad for me. I know you're in pain. I know that you know that the pain's good, and you work with the pain. But those sounds were certainly, to me, they were excruciating sounds. And
what does it make you want to do when you hear those sounds?
Look, I think, I certainly felt sorry for that, mum, because that certainly was a different experience than what I've had certainly with you.
Yeah.
And so, didn't necessarily want me to go off and do anything because I'm in the room with you, and to be honest, my child isn't you.
No, I get that. But on a deep level, do those do those sounds make you want to rush into something or stop something, or sitting with them?
No, I think I'd still be. I'd be a lot more comfortable if that had been you in that scenario.
Now the dog's joining in. Ruby, stop it.
But unless I think that's a hard one for me to answer, because that's not what I was. I was there because of you, Gwen.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily, the sounds were uncomfortable. I felt sorry for that mother.
Yeah.
Did it make me want? No, not really. And if you had been in that situation, then yes, I'm sure I would have had different feelings and emotions and all those sorts of things.
What do you think they might have been? Can you kind of put yourself in that situation?
Gosh.
Because what I see in couples that I've birthed with is that if a woman is really struggling with her pain threshold, and that can be emotional, psychological, physical pain threshold that we get taken to in birth, her partner, often majority of couples I've been with have been men, obviously, but let's just take the masculine role model here. There's this desire to fix it, to make it sometimes want to stop. The difference that I see between perhaps men that really understand the concept of physiological pain that's good versus physiological pain that's bad is often if they've got a sporting background of some sort, which you obviously have. Now, I know you and I spent an enormous amount of time in our first birth talking about the physiology of pain and likening it to, the psychology of sport. That there's a certain amount of pain, and here's what I need to, be my psychological or physical team to, get to the next level of peak performance, so to speak. So we kind of spent a lot of time talking about that in that first birth, didn't we?
Yeah. Look, I think at the end of the day, I know, the importance of, I'm not sure whether you were getting this way or not, but drug-free birth, and obviously, some, I guess once the drugs become involved, then, that there's more risks involved and other things that obviously what we wanted to avoid.
Yeah. Did you feel that desire as well, or were you kind of more following my lead?
No, I think that's part of the education that I've learned certainly that's what you wanted, but I think meeting you / having our first child together, had never really delved into childbirth, and I was knew as much as most people do pre childbirth. So it's all a learning experience. But I think that I agree. I knew how important a drug-free birth was, and whilst if that had been in you in those situations, then I'm not sure exactly what. Certainly, I guess outside of the contractions and things like that, I guess I would be supporting you as best I could, and certainly trying to encourage you to work through that, because that's not the result that you wanted or we wanted in the end. So I guess I've heard stories before where partners, again from you, where they're uncomfortable with the pain and therefore they've almost encouraged their partners to go down the path of choosing to eliminate some of that pain. But I don't think I would have taken that path.
That wouldn't have been your fallback. Why do you think that was?
Because I knew it was important to.
Do you think, we never kind of reached that point where it was a consideration for me, but do you feel like there would have been a point where you changed tact and went, it's time to look at drugs or intervention? Or do you think you would have kept strong in that sort of mental state psychology and encouragement?
Look, I think that's a tough one because, I think, I don't know how much your listeners know about
that's
all
right,
your
just
other birth. But
say whatever you want.
No, I think, you haven't had excessively long labours.
No,
and Heath was born, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, I probably had a pretty good night's sleep the night before, so I wasn't tired, fatigued.
Yeah, that does make a big difference, yeah.
Jade was born at 12 o'clock at night, so still, probably had an okay night's sleep the night before, and, so I don't think that, at any point, and Lola was obviously, late afternoon again, and Gwen again was early evening, and so I don't think that when I guess you hear or talk about these labours are going for days, and the exhaustion kicks in, and
the mental state changes.
The mental state changes. Now, I don't think I was remotely near that point, and I don't think that you were remotely close at any of those points either. I guess there were certainly some challenging bits and pieces at times, but not to get to that mental state where you go, this is, this can't keep going like this.
What are those challenging bits and pieces for you? Like when you think back on our 4 births, what are the parts that you stand out to you as being challenging?
Challenging. Well, look, I think probably Jade was your most painful. I think that, to me, my recollection, I think, was that particularly some of the latter stages, and I think trying to get her to turn a little bit where we were doing some exercise and stuff like that. I think that was...
So how did you handle that? Well, let's start with how were you feeling? Do you remember how you were feeling watching that?
Look, I think the same thing. I think the other thing I need to say too is that one of the other things that I find, and as a male, and so I would recommend this for most males, is that we had independent midwives. So, with Heath and Jade.
Yeah. How did that change it for you, do you think?
Well, I think that took the worry out to say... I would assume it was probably would have been my biggest fear, I think, and look, we only just made it to the hospital in time, but I would think for most guys the biggest fear, and I could be wrong, this is my perspective, but is when do I go to the hospital, when do I stay at home? I remember when we were looking at hospitals, and originally with Heath, the birthing suite, and we went to the one out of Heidelberg. Austin. The Austin. Is it the Austin?
Mercy?
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Whatever.
Yep, that one out Heidelberg. And we spoke about it then, but I remember the poor lady that obviously was in pre-labour or, what she thought was obviously labour and she was sitting on the
we ran
chairs.
into someone there, didn't we?
No, and she was. And I remember, I think they were coming in because they thought, she was obviously in labour and
turned out to be too early.
She was there too early, and I could see her just struggling to walk out the door. Her husband parked the car at the front. She was struggling to get in the car, and I thought, that just looks, shit house.
Yeah.
And so I think having an independent midwife, there's somebody there who can deliver a baby, no worries, but also takes actually, how far along are you in labour, and how close are you, and is it time to leave now?
So you can't take that pressure because she normalises everything.
Look, I mean, and realistically, with Heath, I don't know, would you have gone earlier than what we did? And now we ended up probably.
I think I would have had no idea, to be honest.
And that's right. But I think for me,
we probably would have left earlier, I suppose, had we not had her at our house.
Maybe. Look, I don't know, but I didn't.
I'm glad we didn't at the same time.
No, I'm just saying, like that was a. That's just a stress. Don't need
she's
to,
kind of like the mother hen who oversees it all, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think that probably makes a big difference.
Yeah. For you.
For me, in that.
So when the going gets tough and things got really challenging, in points of, let's say, Heath and Jade's labours, having them there just.
Well, so I think, so you were asking the question about, how was I, or when, that was a bit more challenging. I think it was tough holding you in certain positions, and, it was a bit of a struggle physically, but, I figure, well, I can't really, I can't really complain at the moment. Let's suck it up and, get ready for the next one and hold you and support.
Keep going.
Keep going. That's right. It's much about telling myself to keep going as it is you. You'll be all right. Keep going. So, look, they were exercises that you were doing to, I think, shift the Jade around. And,
her head wasn't quite applied to the cervix.
So.
And then it got intense as soon as she did move.
Yeah, so, I certainly knew that there were, the reasons and things like that were potentially causing more discomfort and whatnot, and that, what we were doing was to alleviate that or certainly help that along,
So have our birth journeys been empowering and or overwhelming for you at different times? I do like the fact that I got to deliver Lola. Yeah, it's pretty cool. What did you like about that?
Well, I guess that it was just us, I suppose. It wasn't...
What did you like about that?
Well, I liked the fact that nobody was here, and it's a good story.
It's a good story.
So I think there's something a bit special to be the first, ones to touch a child, I suppose.
It's true, it is pretty special.
Yeah.
Did that feel extra empowering for you, being, I guess, that real male role model of the, provider and nurturer and protector of that space? Because it was just you, right? I mean, you're kind of the head of the family at that point in time.
Look, I don't look at it that way. I think, I was certainly making, some mistakes at the time. Which we don't need to go into, I suppose, do we?
No.
But anyway, so, no, I don't know. Look, I think, for me, that was, none of that was going through my mind at the time. I was, focused on, obviously, trying to communicate with the midwives and who were supposed to be here, and others to get them on the move, and then realistically my focus was, well, what do I need to do, to help to do this, and as we've spoken about before, again, having midwives that were going to be at the house, having certain friends that had all these tasks, my task was obviously helping you and supporting you. So I knew where none of the items that we had
because I had different support people doing different jobs.
Yeah, so I knew I didn't know where anything was. So
that is something we changed actually from Lola to Gwen, wasn't it? Was that you were all over everything, which is probably a really valid point.
Yeah. So. So my focus, I suppose, was just trying to get what I could, be supportive. I mean, I don't think with Lola, I didn't have to be as supportive there physically or emotionally and that sort of thing for you because it was so quick, and it was more 10 minutes of practical, and it was just 10 minutes of mayhem and. Getting what we needed to, and
what was that like for you, witnessing her literally being born into your hands?
Look, it was amazing, but it was also pretty terrifying because of how slippery she was, and my fear, the fear of Jesus, I don't want to drop her here, and look, I think the fear of. And obviously the cord was around her neck at the time, but I suppose the whole that first scream, first noise, because it seemed to be quite a while before
she made her first cry.
And that was probably between her actually coming out and any sort of noise, that was the is she alive? Because big nugget if I knew I was going to do at that particular point in time, but
that would have been pretty scary for you.
But once, she started bellowing, then, I could...
Take a sigh of relief.
Go get the warm towels and,
Were there any other points in our other births that were overwhelming for you?
No, look, I don't think so. I think I remember Jade more because I certainly feel that there was more periods of uncomfortableness for you and more pain. I think Heath was certainly the greater unknown, and there was certainly I felt like that there was not complications, but certainly you had to work a bit harder for Jade from what I perceived you to do, and Lola's was, that was just extremely quick, and then Gwen's was probably at a perfect pace.
Yeah, it was nice. Having said that, though, there was lots of different periods of her pregnancy, and I dare say the others just that I've blocked it out, that I really struggled. How was that for you, holding me in those, or not holding me, or whatever the case may be for you, in those emotional highs and lows?
With Gwen, do you mean? Or
Well, Gwen, because I think that's probably the most recent for both of us to remember. I don't really remember it with the others not having said. I'm sure that I actually went through it. I just literally don't remember.
Pretty sure you did too.
Yeah, okay, that's great that you remember. I don't have an issue with that. So it's more, what is that like for you in that waiting stage of pregnancy, and there's emotional high and emotional low, and maybe I'm shitty at you and you can't figure out why, and or the roller coaster that comes with that, or
well, I think you could maybe correct me and tell me that I'm not right on this. I think I certainly think that I've gotten a lot better at that over.
Incredibly better, yeah. Why do you think that is? Why do you think?
Well, I hope that I do listen occasionally.
You listen beautifully.
Take things on board a bit. Look, I think you mentioned it before, and I have a lot of trouble with it. But yes, being a male, I do. I'm solution based, and so.
We've spent so much time over the years talking about that. What stands out? What stands out for you is the toolkit that's helped you reframe that.
I try not to. I know again you don't like that I don't say a lot of times either, but I guess I just try to put in just some empathetic words, and not say. Come up with any sort of solutions or anything that may try to fix the problem.
So it's just paraphrasing and sitting with the feeling for you?
Maybe I don't know if I do paraphrase or not.
I think you do in your own way.
I think that's something that, yes, we've worked hard on for a long time, because that's something that I would have never done probably with Heath back then and whatnot. So I think that, again, I understand in pregnancy comes a lot of hormones and feelings and an uncomfortableness, carrying all that extra weight and all the different things that are going on with your body. So, I certainly try to be empathetic and understand when sometimes there's a cry for help or one needing stuff, and I think, bloody hell, can't be asked, or I certainly try to put my understanding cap on and realise, well, Jesus, if that was me, I'd be probably feeling pretty shitty about that too. So I guess it's a combination of all those things. Try and put myself in your shoes, but just I guess trying to listen and allow you to obviously you're pretty verbal sort of person, and for you it's often just getting it out, and so I guess it's giving you the opportunity to do that.
I would say that was particularly poignant in that sort of last week of Gwen's pregnancy too, and I do think you held that space incredibly beautifully for me.
Thanks.
Yeah. Does that feel empowering for you or disempowering for you? Like, if you think back to that due date day and you were lying on the bed with me and I'm a sobbing, blubbering mess and just heaving everything out of my body that, is playing on my mind and in my heart, and you really had to listen really deeply to some things that, probably didn't sound very nice, and hold that space and still come up with empathy. Is that empowering for you now to have a toolkit that says I don't have to know how to fix this? Or do you find it, well, I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
Well, what I'll say is I was sitting there thinking I had all the solutions for you.
Lucky you didn't say it.
Yeah, I had a lot of things.
That's not what you said to me, though. I thought, in my head, I'm going, man, this is a different guy to I'm married. He's here, just this beautiful open space, holding my heart.
Well, look, I mean, there's a lot of things that go through my mind at times, so I'm not going to sit here and say that I certainly, that's my instinct. And so I don't know that I'm ever going to get rid of it, but I'm probably, learning to, or I have learnt to keep it to myself, I suppose.
How do you breathe in your body? How are you actually doing that?
Oh, Jesus. I don't know. I'm a pretty simple bloke, Jules.
Well, what do you think has changed? The tools that we've spoken about, what's changed for you between doing that autopilot response, or can you give another guy a toolkit? So you're about to hand over, the wisdom of divine marriage or something. What's the toolkit for holding your woman's space?
I think all women are a little bit different and are after different things, so I'm not sure, necessarily what others are after or what you want. And so, I mean, I think I've got to that point because we've had a lot of
years of discussions
about it.
Yeah. Have those discussions.
Me getting it wrong many, many times.
How has that been for you? I mean, when you think about getting it wrong, do you feel that was difficult, or do you feel like what's your recollection of? Do you feel reprimanded, or do you feel like there was a way in which I was able to ease that conversation with you?
I think that probably, hopefully, you've gotten better over the years with our conversations on how to deliver the message to me.
Yeah, for sure.
So, or what works for me and what doesn't work for me. So, I mean, I think...
What do you see me doing that works for you? I'm interested. We kind of got off topic.
I know. I thought this was about birth and my birth experience. I look at it and say that this is, that these changes are things that we've worked at for a long period of time. And, some of those are some tough times that we've had. So I think it's just it's been a journey. I think I don't know whether you say it's like a Groundhog Day. We certainly had many points over the time where we've had similar discussions, and I guess I'm somebody that's only going to pick up one or two points from these serious conversations. I think probably a lot of people are that you generally don't hear a lot of stuff when you're getting some negative feedback about yourself. And so I've probably picked up one or two things each time. So each time that it's happened, or over that journey, I've picked up one or two things.
They've stacked one upon
slowly got better at it, and so over the time, I'm hopefully at a point where I've still got a lot of work to do. But
we all do, though, don't we?
So.
Is there a difference in the delivery for you? Like, what is it that I do when we're having those sort of deep and meaningful discussions that really works for you, that speaks to you, that has you feeling less defensive and more invested?
I think probably a gentler conversation.
What does that mean, a gentler conversation?
I think sometimes
as in without the harshness of anger or something? Yeah. So when I approach you gently, what do you hear, see, feel me doing?
I just feel this conversation has been railroaded onto something else, another topic.
Just go with it.
Well, I think that I think it helps when obviously big things, obviously, which are probably the same for most people, but I think letting me know how you're feeling, but the impact's a big thing for me. Obviously my behaviour or what I'm saying or doing, impacts you.
Because that really then makes sense to you and gives you a reference.
Yeah, well, generally, I'd like to think that I'm, married, I'm in love with you and all those sorts of things, and, so...
All those sorts of things.
All those sorts of things.
Don't get too mushy.
That's right, those candles are getting a bit hot over here. Or maybe it's the questions. And so, I want to... obviously build on and continue a strong and solid relationship. So I think, that's, if you're telling me that what I'm doing impacts you, well, that
creates a desire for you to change, does it?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to know.
Don't use that against me, please.
Oh, come on. All right, back to the questions. Let me review. Hang on. Have there been any books or discussions that have been pivotal for you in being an excellent support person in labour?
Thank you for calling me excellent.
You are an excellent support person. I've said that many times to you.
I know what I could charge. No, I'm not a great...
You're not a great reader. No, but I thought I'd chuck it in there anyway.
Yeah, no. No. It comes back to, for me, the many...
The conversations.
The conversations that we've had.
So the handing down of information to you has been through us having conversations, or more importantly, me storytelling, really, and you vicariously picking up the meaning of those stories, would you say?
Yeah. If I'm going to sit there and read a birth book, I'm probably going to fall asleep within a few minutes.
Yeah. I get that.
And a lot of it, I probably don't need to know. Mm-hmm. Or don't necessarily have a desire.
What do you think you do need to know as a man going into labour?
Pain is good.
How do you say that to men?
How do you say it?
How do you explain that concept? Or pain is good, what does it mean for you? Pain is good in labour, what does it mean?
I mean, the way I look at it is I guess in all births through the animal kingdom, I don't know, is there any species that delivers a baby pain-free?
I have no idea, but I would doubt it.
Well, all the, at the Royal Melbourne Show and all the other places where I've seen it, it doesn't look like it's comfortable for anyone.
No, it doesn't.
So, it's natural. So, I think, to get the baby at the other end, there's going to be a fair bit of pain involved, and I think the sooner you get your head around that and accepting of that, then... But
it's not pain like a broken bone, so it's not pain you're scared of.
Yeah, no, I think that, again, I've got no true concept of what giving birth is. I've certainly suffered some fairly painful injuries and other bits and pieces, and that sort of pain, and I get after a while you struggle to cope with the pain, but for a lot of it, there's no reward at the end. It's just it is, and I think, I don't know, to me, if I knew that at the end of this it's going to be bloody hard and it's going to be pretty bloody painful, however I'm going to have that child at the end, there is a big reward there, I would have thought.
Like a carrot dangling?
There is a carrot dangling, yeah. And so...
And we've talked a lot about the concept of as the pain increases and you're moving towards or into the pain, that's the place of where we get to the other end. Yeah. If we're moving away from pain, then we're not on our pathway.
Yeah.
So there's probably that playing out for you. Yeah, so more pain means, oh good, we're on the right track. Yeah, do you think you've really got that as a concept?
Yeah, look, I think so, yeah. I mean, I certainly get the more you try to avoid it, the harder it probably is going to be in the end.
Yeah.
So the sooner you can probably embrace it. And
what advice do you have for men in helping women embrace the pain if they're supporting their wife, partner?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is look, I think probably it's a tough one, I think. I guess the way probably I've been with birth with you is to obviously be there for you, holding you. I think it's important that the wife certainly tells you what she needs. I think because I'm no good at guessing, reading between the lines. So I think that there needs to be some probably clear communication on what. Or beforehand anyway, conversations about what a male may not want, the mother may or may not want. But for me, it's probably always been, or was, being a supportive person.
Physically
supportive, and emotionally as well, I suppose. I think I'm pretty lucky with, your knowledge and wisdom and all that sort of stuff, that I probably had it pretty easy too. So, for me it was about, yes, holding your space, holding you when things were sometimes a little bit tough, some words of encouragement or, but...
creating a loved up space.
Yeah.
It was actually... I had that question here. Has me being explicit in what I need from you been empowering or confronting?
Look, I think it probably... I think it's empowering because at the end of the day, I think you're the mother, you or somebody else out there, I don't know what you're going through. And I think everyone's a bit different. And, for me, I guess you see on some of the television shows the communication from the mother at times, can be quite harsh. But look, in reality, they're going through something that I can't fathom what they're going through, and so I think cut on a bit of slack on the on how the delivery is, and just if that's what they want, I'd be trying to deliver it.
Yeah.
So,
did all of the conversations we had pre-birth kind of setting up what I wanted or needed from you, or, being really explicit in when I'm going through this is what I need from you, or here's your role because this is the role of these other people, being really explicit in that way actually being in the experience of birth.
Yeah.
Did that make it easier for you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the common trait of the male, I suppose, is we've spoken about several times, fixing it.
Yeah, the provider role.
And so I think, well, certainly for me, and I'm just making these assumptions for other males, is that if you just said to your partner, I want you there and I want you to support me, he's going to go, as soon as things start getting a little bit rough.
What does that even mean?
What the hell am I doing? What should I be doing right now? Am I... So it's certainly, from having an independent midwife to having some, fairly clear, guidelines of what you want.
And what I want you to provide, what I specifically want from you.
Yeah, and what specifically you want from me. It is a stressful situation, or it can be a stressful situation. So, a lot of people don't think too clearly when they're in a stressful situation. So, if you haven't communicated or had discussions about it beforehand, then that's when things start probably falling apart. You can't make it up on the there and there. So
it's true. Well, how would you describe your experience of birth? Like, if someone said, "What do you think about birth, Nick?" What would you say?
My experience. Look, I think probably my perspective, it's just birth. Well, if it's someone else's, it's nice for them. But I think when it's your own and you're invested in it, I think it's a magical experience, I suppose. So to be there, with your children, that I think your love for your kids grows every day. It's unconditional. It's an amazing experience.
The statement, watching your woman give birth is like watching your favourite pub burn down, is one that gets floated around in this culture. What do you think about that?
I don't have a favourite pub.
Don't have a favourite pub? What?
Several. That I think doesn't stand up for me. I mean, I think...
I know.
It's still the same woman, I think.
Even though I've had a baby come out of my vagina.
I know, I've heard the stories. Don't look down, and when you...
Yeah, that's exactly. Don't go down the business end. Yeah.
Don't look down the business end.
You'll never look at it the same way again. All of that. That's what I'm talking about. That kind of culture. I mean, if that's not the camp that you sit in, why not?
Well, I did look at the business end. I was intrigued and interested to see, and I think, I can honestly say, it doesn't look like that after birth.
No, and I don't know about you, but I always think even when I'm watching women go through birth, it kind of stops being a vagina, like you're focused on the baby. Do you feel like that or not?
Yeah. Look, I don't. Yeah, as I said, it's Yeah, I look at it differently. It's
So it hasn't changed your love for my vagina, Nick?
No, I still love your vagina.
So it hasn't changed your essence of desire. Like, this is a genuine fear that a lot of, I think, men and women both carry, is that it will forever henceforth change the desire that we have between each other, or the way that you look at me.
Yeah.
Do you not feel any level of that?
No, I don't, because I think they're two different things. No, it doesn't for me. That's how we end up with 4.
Yes, it is. Okay, back onto my questions. Let me see. Maybe I've just about asked all of that. Okay, when shit goes wrong, what do you see your role as?
As in during labour?
Yeah. If things aren't going the way they're supposed to. I mean, that hasn't happened hugely for us, but when things are not going to plan, we could even take, when we went past Gwen's. Oh, yeah, fair enough. When, Lola's birth wasn't to plan.
Lola
fair call.
She went to...
She'd hit the roof. Okay. What do you see your role as?
Well, I think I'm just part of I'm part of the support team, I suppose. So, I mean, I probably don't look at that, you being late by a week, although, my understanding is the due date is today, therefore not, the due date that they give you.
I know.
Technically, Julie, she wasn't overdue.
I know.
So she's on schedule.
She was on her time, yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Not when you're in that week, though. Hang on, that's my thermo. You keep talking.
So, what was the question again?
Question was, when shit goes wrong, what do you see your role as? Support person means what? What's your role in that? It's not going right?
Yeah. I mean, so I guess... What I was going to say was that I look at myself as a support person, but you were talking about Gwen being a week over. To me, that's not, nothing's gone wrong. That's not an issue. It was an issue. It may have become more of an issue for me come the Saturday, and then we're going in for intervention and that sort of thing.
So in that scenario, what would your role be?
So...
Or in birth, if we...
so that's why I look back and more at Lola, where, there was nobody here, it was just us. Look, I think... I look at, as a support person, I don't, think that... I guess I'm trying to make you as comfortable as possible and do as much as I can for you to make birth as easy as possible. And I know that's not easy, but...
No, I get what you're saying.
That's how I look at it. Now, if things go wrong, again, you had a birth plan. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm not sure how many other women have birth plans.
Well, hopefully all our listeners.
Millions. So I guess, and obviously just knowing your, values and beliefs and all those sorts of things. So, I guess for me, if things were to go wrong, then, it still is to try to keep that birth as close to your birth plan as possible. Is probably,
and to really help captain that ship.
Yeah. Understand what you want.
And have conversations or facilitate that in whatever way you can.
Yeah.
What should you never say to a woman in labour?
Probably I'm tired.
/ you should never say that to a mother of a newborn either.
What's the footy scores?
Yeah, no, dead set.
I think, I think when you're there, you've got to be focused on the birth. No doubt, there's some when you're going through contractions, there's some downtime. Have a sneaky look at your phone at that point if you can, but don't get caught.
Oh, Nick.
But I think you're there. You're there, and like anything, you probably need to be switched on and focused on what you got to do as a support person.
Back on your topic of men love to provide, what is it like for you when I'm struggling in pregnancy, birth, with a newborn, when I'm feeding, and there's nothing that you specifically can do at that point in time for the baby or the situation? What is that like for you? So you're wired to provide, and in that moment, there's nothing you can do for this situation.
Well, I mean, I guess there's always things to be done.
Like what?
Jobs.
Like what?
Getting things for you.
Oh, yes, it's true.
Changing nappies. House jobs. Looking after the other kids.
To have them not looking after themselves.
Have a drink.
So you're always looking for stuff to do, even when it seems like there's nothing for you to do. It's nothing you can do for this newborn baby. It just needs mum and it just needs breastfeeding and whatever.
Yeah, look, I mean, I know, I guess I understand my place, and that at this particular point in time, Gwen obviously needs you, and I can't provide anything for Gwen really at the moment. So, obviously the whole feeding, settling takes time. So I guess, if there are times where you need me to settle or do things, then to do that, to be there to do that. But then obviously, I guess
Do you need guidance in how to do that? So for other men, yeah. Do you think it's something you need to be shown, here's how I do this and this and this?
I think initially, I know I'd probably do, wrap her a little bit differently at times.
Yeah, you wrap her way too loosely.
Yeah, but I feel that we get too hot together, so she needs some air cooling through between the two of us. But I still get her to sleep though.
You do, absolutely, you do. Which is what
so it's not.
You find your own groove with her.
I've got my own groove, and.
Is that hard for you? Is it scary?
But if I was, like with her first time, yes. Look, I don't,
There's a bigger journey from 1 to 4. Yeah.
But every time you touch, once you haven't touched a newborn for a while, I'm nervous to touch a baby. I haven't touched a baby for a while now. Obviously, Gwen's been with us now for 3.5 weeks, or nearly 4 weeks. I'm going to pick her up and, no worries, and I'm confident but when you haven't touched one for a while, it's like, how's the neck?
It's so tiny.
And generally you got to be. But as a new father, I think you do need to be shown a lot. But it's also, I think, as we've learned over the journey too, we did a lot of things with Heath that we certainly don't do now.
Yeah, it's true. Like what? What are those things for you?
Well, it's probably, I think we're just probably a bit more confident. I don't know, we just seem to settle the babies a lot better than
I know. Do you know, I was thinking about it. I feel like we're more structured now, actually. First time baby, we were living in adult world, we had no routine. Whereas by the time you come to number 2, 3 or 4, you're already in 7 o'clock up, 7 o'clock bed, there's instantly they're walking into rhythm in the day, which then instantly changes things.
Yeah.
That's what I have been sitting with about it. What do you think?
Yeah, look, probably, I think, with obviously having Heath and Jade older than Lola and Gwen, and so at times I think we probably both feel a little bit sorry for the two of them, and that it's they're on Heath and Jade's timetable, for a lot of it. And
Yeah, we feel sorry for the younger two because we're running a life around the older two.
Yeah, so...
which is what happens with however many siblings you have. You have your first child, it's all about them, but then your second child has to fit in with your first child and so on and so forth.
But no, I think as a first-time father, I think that you've got a lot to learn. Yeah. And just about, I think.
Is there a way to be shown that? Is there is it, again, this comes back to the ethos of the gentleness as opposed to, I don't know, instruction or authoritarian kind of approaches to discussion?
Yeah. I think a big thing for me, and I think a lot of people, that my perception is that a lot of people are uncomfortable with crying babies.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you brought me back there. I wanted to talk to you about that.
And that's not that's not a big deal for me. So
why is that?
I think probably our conversations we've had where I'm like, that's their only form of communication, and that realistically they're not happy about something. And that obviously they're expressing themselves, and
what is your role in that?
We'll allow them to express themselves.
How do you do that?
And I guess just being as comforting, I suppose we can be. So look, I mean, I don't necessarily always love it, but I'm happy to sit there with the crying baby, and I'll sit there
and hold her.
I'd hold her, yeah, or him, or just rock and pat and have a bit of a chat, and hopefully eventually, look, at the end of the day, unless they're probably fairly sick or anything, they're going to fall asleep and crash out, but I guess they've got it off their chest. We all, I guess it's probably no different. You talk about somebody, an outburst of emotion and a big cry or whatnot, and it's been building up for a while, and how we, you kind of I guess feel relieved after that. So why would it be different for a baby? I guess so.
It's so beautiful for me to hear that.
Oh, thanks.
It's so many years. It's so different to the way you and I were raised, isn't it?
I was a perfect child, that.
Stop it.
That's my mum.
I know. She's forgotten a lot. I just want to take a deviation into intimacy in not necessarily an explicit way, but just to kind of touch on it, because it's obviously very interlinked with our discussion around, how things change. We have. We brushed over the topic. We're coming back. What was it like for you being with my polar opposite emotional states in pregnancy and potentially even in this newborn phase, of wanting you really close and then sometimes feeling like pushing you away? Do you feel that those poles have been there for you or not? And how have you handled that?
Look, yes and no. Not probably not so much with Gwen, I don't think. But look, I mean, I think again, my perspective is that I probably like to look at things in other people's shoes. So, if I felt that you were pushing me away, that there's I'm assuming that there's, and they probably don't like me saying that, but that there are reasons for it. Let's put in perspective, we've got a 3.5 week old baby that takes up a significant amount of your time and focus every day, night. Get tired. We've got a lot of other stuff going on as well with 3 other kids, and life doesn't slow down and stop. And I go to work and you got to run them around and chase them. We've got 6 kids this week, and so I think for me, perspective is we hell I should have gone on. and
how do you hang in there with that?
how do I hang? Well, we've got through 3 pretty well, I think. I know we'll get through 4. There'll be better weeks than others, and I think I'm a fairly optimistic type of person, and
pretty easygoing.
And I think for me, everything will work out all right. That's probably my opinion.
Does it change the communication? So if I'm feeling emotional or whatever, does it change if I open up to you and say this is what's going on for me? Does that change how you feel?
Yeah, look, it does probably, because I'm probably more, if I feel that you're not happy about something, I'm probably more likely to step away, step back. Do
you think that's because of old programming?
Yeah, I mean, we've had that. Occasionally there are times where I can, I think that
step into it. And
I've stepped into it times when I've felt like that I was, okay to step into it. But I'm probably more of a step out of it, give you some space, and when you're ready to come back, well, that's probably what I've dealt with it in the past.
We've had discussions around that being counterproductive, though, haven't we?
Yeah. I'm not saying I always do it, but
no, that's your fallback mechanism.
But for me, and again, same, and I'm pretty sure most guys would think I don't read between the lines. And I don't see those mixed messages out there, or they probably go straight past me and I'll walk out the door.
Explicit communication is really important.
Well, if you seriously want me to know what you're talking about, then you need to tell me what you're talking about, not some airy-fairy...
Beat around the bush thing.
Yeah, beat around the bush.
It's okay, you can use the innuendo. Which actually leads me on to women often struggle with their body image or identity as they go through the physical changes of pregnancy and birth. I certainly have. I've had a lot of thought processes, even myself, and I know certainly other women around me as well, around insecurity of my body, around my physical attractiveness or desirousness. And I'm wondering, in my head, often in those moments, if you're feeling repulsed or disgusted by those changes in my physical self, or just plain not into that. So I'm wondering what the experience of my body changing has done for you in your desire or sexual attraction. Ooh, it's deep.
It's deep. And I'm not sure I should answer, whether I should say this.
There's no should. You should answer should. You can answer however you wish.
Well, I think there's some, I think there's some, yes, there's certainly a lot of body change, but I think that there's some pros with those body changes.
Like what? I say with a mouthful of chocolate.
Yeah, no.
Sorry.
Well, larger breasts. Again, I think I sure as hell don't sit here going, I've got a perfect body and that, I think my body's beautiful, so why I shouldn't sit there judging other people. And I don't have the reasoning behind having just given birth, carried a baby, and, so I don't think it's, so no, I don't sit there and I guess judge and I love you. I think that you are very beautiful, and it's not just about your body, it's, it's the whole package. So.
Thank you. Thinking those changes, though, is really different to that, I guess, raw animalistic feeling of desire. Does that change for you in those periods and fluctuations of pregnancy? Slash newborn, slash, a baby hanging off my breast, all of the above.
Oh, look, I think probably, at times, yes, having a newborn hanging off your breast and those sorts of things.
It's a bit of a graphic image, sorry about that.
can alter your thought processes or urges, maybe. But I think that's where it comes. We spoke before about the what's going on in your world, in our world at the moment, and going through tiredness, and so I think that there's a lot more factors that probably impact urges and those sorts of things than
simple physical attraction.
So I think it's probably a combination of a lot of things.
So how do you maintain intimacy during that then? Would you say that we maintain intimacy through pregnancy?
I think so.
You only think?
Well, no,
are you trying to check in with me? Are you?
Give me something. Did I answer that right?
I think we do. I was interested in what you thought.
Well, yeah, no, I think it's probably easier pre-birth than post.
And post. Why is it easier?
Well, I think that's when more of the factors are getting the other influences are impacting the way people are feeling. I mean, let's face it, how many parents between a newborn baby and a 3-month-old baby are feeling chipper every morning and get home from work or whatnot and go, wow, I've got so much energy, I want to burn off. Come on, let's quickly head off to the bedroom. The baby's asleep and, the kids are watching television. I don't know how often that happens. I mean, yes, we probably need to find those couple of minutes here and there, but I think whereas the pre, I don't think there's as many outside influences.
What do you think the tools are for maintaining intimacy through? You haven't got enough to drink, have you, Nick? Do you need another glass?
I'm out of drink.
All right, we can pause. Okay, we've refilled our drinks. All right, Nick, we're nearly done. I just want to get a little bit more out of you here. This is quite exciting. As I just said to you when I wandered back to the table, it's like it's a really big fear for a lot of women is that my partner no longer finds me attractive, or that I'm not attractive, or that this tummy, these stretch marks, these breasts, whatever. Particularly if you're a woman that's really defined your identity with how you look or, your sexuality in this world, is if you feel like you've lost that as part of your identity with the intensity of a newborn and the changes from pregnancy to who you are now, can be really hard, right? So I don't think that you and I sit in that camp. I feel like we still can remain open-hearted and intimate and sexually, desirous. For me, I think it's when we really have conversations that open that space up around here's how I'm feeling, or here's what I need, or here's, like the other night we had a conversation around intimacy and I was saying I'm feeling really disconnected from you at the moment. Is that what you're feeling? And you'd said, yes, it was. And I said, well, we need to talk about what each of us need to come back into feeling connected again. And I'd said to you, what I need is more physical touch and more verbal affirmation. And you said something different. What was it that you needed?
I just felt we just needed to, I think it was more just doing things together. So, even, I guess, something like this was just spending time together.
Achieving an outcome, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We cleaned a cupboard the other day.
We did.
Yeah, we cleaned the kids' cupboard out, remember?
Oh, true. Yes, I forgot. Look at that, I forgot already.
So I think clear communication actually works really well with intimacy. Is that your experience too, that our intimacy has gotten better over the years because our conversations have gotten better? Would you say that's the case for you?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Has that been awkward for you, or do you feel like we've stepped that process together? Have I pushed you too hard or fast in any of that?
Oh, look, times that, that sometimes I've had some, I guess, awkward, challenging conversations. But I think, I guess, I know where I stand in our conversations and what you want and what makes you feel good.
Because I'm being clear in those communications.
Yeah. And so sometimes I can understand why when somebody is like that, I guess sometimes that can challenge your confidence a little bit to go, well, that's not what I've been doing.
Is that hard? Is that a really big blow to the ego?
Look, I think it can be. I don't think I think I can move on from that sort of stuff pretty quickly. So I don't think that gets me down. But at times I think, oh, geez, I've certainly been off track here, haven't I? But again, I'm happy to, feedback's a gift, isn't it? So.
In our conversations, though, would you say, I'm not just saying you're not doing this right, I'm saying here's what's not working for me.
I'm not saying you've never said you're not doing it right.
No, but here's what's not working for me, and here's, I've always offered the toolkit of, I'm not just going, this is no good. Come up with a solution. I'm saying this part isn't working, and here's what I actually really need. I'm actually speaking that vulnerability. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's more about what you need as opposed to, it's not going, you don't do this right, or that's not okay, or it's more about what you need. So I'm just saying, I think some people, or you certainly can. So, and I've even probably thought that I've had those thought processes as well. Really, I'm clearly not the right path. Anyway, but for me, that's just me, and I think knowing what you speak, I can't read between the lines and don't like trying to read between the lines. I never get it right. So if I know what you actually want, and I know that makes you feel good or feel better about yourself, then that's a great outcome. Because
then that connection comes back to you.
Yeah, and then you're feeling good about yourself. You're getting what you want. I'm feeling good because I'm giving you what you want.
That beautiful provider role.
Yes, that's right.
I like that too. So, back on this physical aspect, what do you think? I mean, my body obviously has changed from, 16 years ago. It's no longer the body it was.
Well, there's mine, Julie.
That's true. Here we are. How do you frame that? How do you think that we have maintained sexual intimacy and attraction through all those changes?
Because I don't think it's just all. I don't think it's all just physical. It's about it is about the relationship, and it's about the person, and it's not just all physical. I think we talk about the connection, and we sit down and we connect with each other. We feel good about ourselves. That I guess builds the love between two people, and so for me, it's not all about the physical.
Has your desire waned for me over the years of body changes, pregnancy, birth?
I don't think so, no.
Do you think our birth plays a role in that we've had good birth experiences?
I don't think I'd put the two together.
What do you think the key is for growing intimacy as a relationship grows?
I think it's probably predominantly communication. Being honest. And I think understanding what works for both parties. And if you're not honest about it, well, then it's never really going to work, is it?
You're not really going to feel it.
No.
Any other pearls of wisdom, Nick, you would like to... Oh, no, hang on. I have one more question. How do you think you hold my space and have me feeling beautiful and secure in my body when it, you know, on some level I'm feeling insecure about it? How do you think you do that?
Well, that's one where I wouldn't come up with a solution, that's for sure. I think probably I think that's where probably I guess I would be using words of affirmation and so forth. I think sometimes, you know, you can be hard to convince. You don't necessarily believe me, and I've got to persist pretty hard to get you on board that I'm telling the truth.
I would agree with that. How do you think you do that? So because you know I like touch and words of affirmation, you just continue to use those things until you feel me come around, would you say?
Yeah, that can be quite a while.
So worth it, Nick.
So worth it. Yeah, no, that's how I think I work with you on that one.
All right, we are going to wrap up now. I know you've hung in there a really long time. I really appreciate you showing up. I know this was, you know, out of the ordinary for you and out of your comfort zone, so I really appreciate that.
It's been a pleasure.
Is there anything you would like to leave our beautiful listeners with? What do you think would be the pearls of wisdom in communicating with their men about birth and intimacy through body changes?
I mean, I think we've sort of, I personally think we've discussed them all.
We're done. We're moving on.
It's a wrap. No, I don't have any words of wisdom. I think, you know, like most things, I think the whole honest communication is what's going to get you there.
For us to really say exactly what our heart desires or our body desires.
You know, if you can't be honest with someone, well, then it's not going to work, and there's always going to be ifs and buts and what ifs, and, you know, so, and I get that is tough having honest conversations at times. I, you know, find it bloody challenging. And, you know, luckily you've been able to get that out of me at times.
How do I do that?
You know, you persist.
In what way?
Just over the years, you've just persisted.
I've hung in there.
Finally, yeah, you've hung in there, yeah.
I've waited for that filing drawer to open.
That's right, That's right. It was locked very securely.
Well, thank you, beautiful listeners, for listening. If you're still there, it's a really long podcast. We appreciate you showing up every week. I do hope that we've answered our beautiful listener in some capacity and that she might have some pearls to share with her beautiful husband as she embarks on the journey of birth with her man, and that your beautiful men do find the capacity to actually really hold your space and show up for you in a way that you have openly and honestly told them you would like them to show up for you with. It's absolutely a dance between the two. So please connect with us at nourishingthemother.com.au, Nourishing the Mother on Facebook and Instagram. If you love a podcast, we'd love you to share it. We love communications through the socials, you know, hello on Instagram or a comment on Facebook. If there's a topic that really resonates with you, we'd love to dive into it. So private message us on Facebook or email us through the website would be amazing. And to connect with Bridget is suburbansandcastles.com, and for myself is thepleasurenutritionist.com. And we will see you next week when we continue to peel back the layers on your mothering journey.
This has been a production of TheWellnessCouch.com. Check us out on Facebook and join in the conversation on Facebook.com/The Wellness Couch. Subscribe to each show on iTunes and check us out on Twitter. The Wellness Couch, streaming wellness into your lives.
Whilst the Wellness Couch presenter endeavor to provide accurate and helpful information to their listeners, these podcasts cannot take into account individual circumstances and are not intended to be a substitute for health and medical advice from a qualified health professional. You should always seek the advice of a qualified health professional before acting on any of the information provided by any of the Wellness Couch podcasts.